this computer. Nice. Okay. So a few weeks ago, Sam had been kicking the tires on something, and then we worked on it, and it felt like we had a breakthrough. I don't know if that was a real breakthrough, Sam, or just felt like a breakthrough at the moment. And so then I was like, oh, there is an MR, like a draft MR I've had open for months. Maybe it'd be good to get some other eyes on it. And I think in general, like I do have a goal of getting better at writing Rubocop rules. I think at GitLab, making style suggestions is really nice, but it doesn't really do anything unless you enforce it with some kind of a rule that raises if somebody violates that, because there's just so many people and not everybody reads the documentation, or like maybe the person's on PTO or, whatever. It's really hard with this many people to get everyone on the same board without enforcement. So this was a rule that we actually talked about this a while ago in backend pairing about why we would prefer size to count for performance reasons. We already have a Rubocop check that just does this in HAML files. Here it is. And I wanted to add something more universal. What we found as we added this, Peter Leighton, the king of Rubocop, as I think of him, worked on this. This MR is huge because he auto-corrected all the offenses, and pretty quickly you start to realize that there are a lot of red pipelines, which is good. That means we have test coverage. The reason, though, is that, oh, look at, there you are. Oh, he's everywhere. He's everywhere. So we can get back to that comment, but basically we only want to be calling this Rubocop rule on non-enumerators, so on active record relations, because if you call size on an enumerator, on enumerable, like this, a range, you get nil. It should be den. So this is super annoying. I wish that it just worked everywhere, but it doesn't. So then I was like, okay, cool. I'll just, let me show you the rule. So this is I actually just opened up a brand new branch and added this because that one was just getting too big. This is the rule as it is. It basically just looks for any count use of count and tries to put in size. But I would like to avoid doing this on enumerables, on non-active record relations, basically. But you cannot, in the context of Rubocop, like do a check on the object that this is being called on. So how do we do this?
There's a similar problem that we had before, which was, I think on the test, like one of the measure on array where we wanted to encourage using matching array instead of equal. Like expect an array to equal, which means, so that would do a strict assertion on the order of the items. Whereas we wanted to encourage using like expect array to match array and expected array, and then that will be more lenient in terms of order. So what we had to do there was to use danger instead of Rubocop because of this exact same problem. Like we can't, like with Rubocop, we can't inspect the object and what we don't know what it is in runtime, right? So
yeah,
it looks purely at the AST and just look at pattern in that, but doesn't know anything further than that. So with danger, what I think Remy did was to build a rule which will get triggered during code review, and then it appears as a comment in the code review, asking the author if they meant to use something over something else. I'll see if I can find an example of that.
Yeah, because
probably in any of my MRs.
But yeah, I think it kind of worked well enough, but on the other hand, the downside to it is that it creates a lot of noise sometimes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you really want to use what danger is not recommending, then yeah, you have to like ignore all that
Yeah.
comments.
You ever write a finder where you really want the sort order to be a specific way,
Hmm.
that danger will get on your nerves. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So danger makes how does danger know? What does danger have access to
No,
that
it
it
doesn't
knows?
know whether it's what object it is.
Okay.
The only difference is that it doesn't make the change for you, so you can choose to ignore that comment.
Okay.
Whereas with Rubocop, you have to adhere to what Rubocop wants.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. I
Or
see. I
create a
see.
or create a comment with the exception, right?
Yeah, or disable it.
Okay. Because you can also have Rubocop rule. Is it possible to make a Rubocop rule that's a warning instead of a failure?
As I think there is like a warning API, but I can't remember whether it actually worked as a non-blocking like
Yeah.
output.
Yeah.
I think it still errors out and then that blocks CI.
Yeah. Interesting. So is this just a Rubocop rule that we shouldn't have? Like, what are our options here? We have one option one. Okay, well, we have the first option, which is option one. Always look, always prefer count, but
Mm.
requires like disable comments if it's an enumerator. Option two is what Albert just brought up, which is like danger suggests changes. Not
Yeah.
required.
Yeah.
So one thing I think that leaps out to me is like this isn't auto-correctable. That's one thing. So is one of the problems here is that the auto-correction has essentially gone too far.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think like you've got extend autocorrector on line 7 there. Like you definitely don't want that because of this enumerable behavior.
Yep. And the line 37 where it replaces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So this is the autocorrector overcorrect because changes on all object types. Yeah, and that's basically what's happened in here. Like this, the reason I've been avoiding this MR, well, first of all, there are 443 files changed, so that's just scary whenever, wherever you are. And then there are some failing tests. You can go through one by one and go, oh, you know, I think events is probably an active record relation here, but say it's an enumerable. This should be reverted, this change. Going through all of the, like, there's a very high likelihood, it feels to me like this MR would break something if we just pushed it through with manually uncorrecting things based on spec failures, because we know we don't have 100% spec coverage. So, is there?
You could insert in front of every size or count line a piece of code that evaluates itself and then leaves a comment in the same line.
Okay, wait, hold on.
No, that was a joke. No, don't do that.
Wait, come on. All ideas welcome. Insert code to object type. Whenever count is used. Option 4. This is another kind of like zany idea, which is what was the idea? Oh, I was like we could monkey patch Ruby so that enumerable dot size just does the same thing as active record relation.
Well, a flip side to that would be to emit some sort of warning on like monkey patch active record and emit some kind of warning if you call it. No, because we probably intentionally call active record count a lot, don't we? Like sometimes we'll want to call it.
Why? No, we would never want to call. I think that's the whole point
Like,
of this MR. We would never want to call count.
well, sometimes you want to enforce a count query rather than like, so imagine you've got 1,000 active record objects and you want to count them. You don't want to instantiate 1,000 active record objects and then count the size of that list.
It's been a little while since I've worked on this, but I think that it just calls count if they're not already loaded.
Oh, okay. No, all right then. Well, okay. Yeah, no, you're right.
So with active record, we would always want to call size because it just calls count if the records aren't loaded, or it loads them. If they're already loaded.
What if we don't want the loaded part? Like in a spec, you would expect some count to change. You don't necessarily want the cached counted to be checked. You want the actual database to be checked. So there's, I think, is a place where you really want count to be executed.
Yeah.
You'd have to call
Like
reload.
I don't think it's a great idea anyway, because it's like, then what do you, if you're emitting a warning or logging it somehow, then what do you do with that? Like, who's going to go around monitoring that? And I don't think it's really practical, but I guess it's worth noting down as an approach.
Yeah, we gotta write it down. Gotta have this idea.
It's frustrating because, like, I remember looking at this years ago, and the thing was, as far as active record goes, like, you just always want to use size because you can use count, you can use size, or you can use length. And basically, size will just always do what you pretty much what you would like it to do.
Yeah, exactly.
without instruction.
Yes.
But the fact enumerable doesn't follow the same pattern is really annoying.
Yeah, make enumerable follow the same pattern. That would be a monkey patch. That seems just like bad, but you got it down.
That's possibly a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Side effects.
Yeah. Another option, and this wouldn't get all of them, but like one way, just like looking at these violations. So this one is just calling size. So first of all, like we could just make it more tailored. So one thing we know is that like all Finder classes return an active record relation. So we could ensure that if count was ever called on a Finder class or on, like, do we have a way of getting the name of all active record classes easily in the context of Rubocop? No.
It's a bit, I'm not sure if we should assume that any count method should be replaced by size, because there could be other implementations that also define count. Like, I don't know, there could be other things, like something that could be Redis spec, like some kind of data structure that don't use active record. And in that case, like, they may not have size.
Yeah, I think we want to make sure that this is called on active record object. So, and we know that Finder, I know we have a different Rubocop rule that ensures that Finder classes always return an active record relation. So on an active record relation, if it was like an example of a very specific targeted way we could write this is if, do a string match for Finder and say, if this class, if we're calling dot count on a Finder, it should be size. That does not going to catch, a lot of things. But like this is a great example. To-dos Finder, where we can be pretty confident that returns an active record relation.
Yes and no. Because sometimes like we could like assign that Finder object to a variable, and then we lose track of the constant name.
Yeah, for sure. It wouldn't catch every instance, but it would catch some of them. Like this one right here would be caught.
I had a query here that how much performance improvement we are looking for when we are replacing all the counts with size?
That's a good question. I don't think that, I don't know. I think that there were some benchmarks in this blog post. And I think it's going to be hard to know because it only really helps in a scenario where the records are already loaded, right? So in some cases, actually changing count to size will have no impact. It's only if the records are already loaded. So,
But in most of the cases, the lake records are loaded, I feel, when it comes to active records.
I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Not true. Because I have a feeling that this count or the size usage, it should be a guideline instead of a rule.
Yeah. I think, I
I
mean, I think
agree
that's,
with that.
okay, say more about that.
And it can, if we change it using the Rubocop rule, it can create some issues. I'm not sure. And we cannot, for the classes, we cannot really determine that what is going to be the return type for any method, if it is an active record or enumerable or not. So I don't think we can filter on the basis of the classes when it comes to the Rubocop. So
Yeah. Well, we can't as is. You're right. If we stick with the Rubocop rule, we won't be able to be certain.
Yeah. So if it is like it is a very significant change in the performance, then probably we should make it a rule. But otherwise, we can probably make it as a guideline. I don't know how danger works. I have not. Maybe that is something that sounds better to me, as personally.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I think the reason to make it a Rubocop rule is just, I don't know if having style guidelines at GitLab has much value at all because that assumes people are reading those guidelines, which they're not. So we could say we can have a guideline, but then we have to kind of assume that it will be somewhat ignored. I don't know if that's
That is
fair.
also true, yeah, no.
Mandatory level up course.
Oh no.
Yeah, like secure coding guidelines. You need to review it every year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that would help create some like background memory in your brain of it. You'd go through it every year.
Yeah. So like, and you're right though. Maybe this isn't something that's even worth doing. I think that's like, maybe it's not a huge win. I think it's a win for me in terms of my learning more about creating Rubocop rules and what makes, like, what we can do and what we can't do. But you're right, we don't really have a strong sense of what the performance impact of like this change is. And so maybe it wouldn't be that big of a deal in terms of positive impact.
Another crazy idea, I don't know, it might sound very crazy, that since we want to use only size and not count, and we want to make sure that and it has to be done on the non-enumerable data types. So can we just override size, like monkey patch, count itself and use size whenever developers are using it within GitLab context?
Yeah, that's kind of the issue.
I mean, it'll be a little blind thing to do, though. I don't know if it is a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Behind
Like
the
for
scenes,
the
yeah.
pagination code, for example, is always going to run a count query. Yeah, it might be too risky.
Yeah.
Another thought is like, is there any approach we could do that's similar to the N+1 kind of catching in the, if we're worried about catching accidental count queries that we don't intend to run, is there an approach that we could take like that? I don't think there is.
That's actually a good point. I think it's that kind of that is possible. Like but then we depend on the author creating a test for it, and then they need to write a test that executes that line multiple times to see how many times the count query was executed, and then we have to inspect that. But I think that's a good approach if we really want to do this.
Which takes us back to our repeated guest in the show, the query recorder.
Yep.
Oh no, not query recorder. Yeah. Okay, so we could, do we have any cops that enforce a certain kind of test coverage? I guess we don't necessarily need that, but like if we could
Not-
say, oh, it looks like you used count, like should there be a test? Should there be this type of test?
I like how this is going. We're getting deeper and deeper into the stack.
Oh no. But you're right.
Maybe
we could just
monkey
have
patch
like
just during spec run, and then look where the count was or size was called on, and then.
Oh, wait, wait.
Like, can we just monkey patch in, like, for test environment, and then
Inactive record.
yeah,
We
I
do
still
have...
think.
You still think what?
That's a good.
I feel like there's going to be loads of genuine like required calls to count.
yeah.
And how do you bypass those in that case? Just don't know that approach is practical, even though I suggested it in the first place. The more I think about it,
There is a task. This is reminding me that there is like an unused, there's some kind of test we run to find unused declarative policy abilities. This was also work done by Peter Lightson. And it's something where it's, maybe it's unused or it's undefined ability. So if something's invoked that doesn't exist, like only in a test environment, it raises an error. It feels like that's kind of what you were suggesting, Sam.
Yeah.
Like only in the test environment we do XYZ. That's very interesting. I don't know if I'll be able to find this without searching for too long.
Maybe it's an initializer just for test.
Yeah, what about unmuting abilities?
Similar to that idea, I was thinking maybe we could do a development warning. So that if we detect a call to active records count, we could put a warning. We could print a warning in development so that it appears in the console or the logs. That could be one. It's less disruptive to people, but it's visible.
Visible, totally. I like that. Wait, so hold on. Here's the thing. So this is basically monkey patching. So we would define, for example, count. And then there's a hook, there's a before check hook here. And so in spec support, we prepend this extension and call something. This is very tricky. Oh, I'll do 11 options here. Okay, so that's an option. I mean, Albert, I like your idea of this logging. I question, like, how often are you looking at logs when you're in development mode? Too often.
Lots of time, actually.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like you're running them in a separate, you're doing GDK tail, or what are you looking at?
Yeah. I will run GDK tail on a separate window.
This is possibly an aside for another session, but something I often find myself doing is like wanting to debug into the logs somehow and be able to pick those messages up in amongst the millions and millions of stuff that's reading past. And at the moment, the way I do that is I go rails.logger, and then I put like at
Yeah.
the start of my
Yes.
at the start of my message, and then I grep the log for that and tail it. And I feel like making a little tool for us so that we could just like dev like GDK debug log things would be quite a nice little
Ooh.
topic for another session. Anyway, sorry.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Good point.
Back where we were.
Yeah, no, that's good. You do at, I do asterisk times 100. It's my favorite.
Ah,
Like in quotes, you know.
discuss the relative merits.
Something I picked up, you know. Okay, so we have all these options. Are any of these speaking to us? Obviously, there's always also the option of do nothing. I kind of like this monkey patching idea. In test only. The way that Peter did this. What I like about it, and I guess I have to look at what like where the output from this even goes. It's not a Rubocop failure, and it's
The YAML file, right?
It's a YAML file. Ah, okay. So I guess it looks for whether the exception is in this file. So basically the action that happens is, I think it fails, it causes a failure unless the exception is in this file, which means we would have to include every instance of .count in an exception file. It's kind of annoying. Or, yeah. Maybe we wouldn't if it was, we only monkey patched on active record. We wouldn't hit it for enumerable.
I think if we monkey patch active record, like at least the pagination code is going to trigger that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably a whole raft of other things that are going to call count. And then how do we avoid those?
Why does the pagination have to call count instead of size?
Because it's like Kaminari gem.
Oh,
It's like
Kaminari.
it's
We use
outside our control
Kaminari?
anyway.
We use that?
In the APIs, yeah. So I don't know if it's just like our team's code, but I've certainly come across it a few times.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty certain that'll be doing AR.count.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, well, these are some good options. I feel less stuck than I did before. I feel more pessimistic about, I did not mean to do that. I feel more pessimistic about this change than maybe before. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not worth doing. It's just, anybody should close out the MR if we're not gonna ever do it, right? It's just been haunting me. So, Smriti, do you wanna do your flaky test?
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure that we are very sure of that the Rubocop, I mean, there is no way in the rule we can check the object type.
There's not. I know.
I'm again going to the point one, but I'm not very
Yes.
sure if it's going. I'm
Yeah, no,
trying to read
Rubocop
through it.
rules. I'm again not the most skilled with defining Rubocop rules. And the AST syntax to me is like really difficult to figure out. We have some tooling for you for figuring that out. Rubocop parse.
Yeah, to answer your question, yes, there's no way that Rubocop knows the object because it just looks at a single file. It has
Okay.
no context of any required files or any relationships within all the different files that you have.
Oh,
Yeah, you just have a
can.
single file view and what is contained within that, the tree within that file.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it can never know what type of object it is. Okay.
Limiting.
Yeah, then it's problem.
But that monkey
Different
patch on
purpose,
the
different tool for different purpose. Okay.
yeah, that monkey patch on the ability was needed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that was a really clever approach, I thought, that Peter came up with there. But it doesn't use Rubocop. It uses RSpec. Yeah. Okay, Smriti. Flaky test.
You want, okay, all right, I'll just open it.
It looks like
Give
it
me
might
some
be kind of
time to,
front-endy.
yeah,
Well, I don't know.
it is, but I'll just, okay, so it might take me some time to get to the point. Okay. Second, here's
Flaky
my
feature
thumbnail.
test. Whoa. This
Yeah.
looks like something that we like looking at in this session.
So this
Our
is an
favorite.
admin setting spec that I'm working on, and 168 line number is this one. This one is quarantined. The issue is, the issue is that we have actually overridden this method dot refresh in our helper. So if I go to Capybara helpers, this has been overwritten here, and we are refreshing the page by setting it to the blank page before we visit the final URL. That's the point. Now we have also, yes, did I do something here? Yeah. So we have also overridden this visit method of Capybara here, where we are waiting for the request so that all the requests are served properly before the result is displayed. I think there was some inconsistency, that's why they have put in this wait for all requests here. Now, I can debug it and I can show you where exactly the issue is happening.
So is it flaky or you're able to consistently reproduce it?
It is consistent. It is not flaky. It is
Oh,
failing.
it's
It's,
just failing.
it's,
That's good.
that's good actually, yeah. So it is consistently failing.
Good. I've done
So,
very little with our Capybara specs. So I
yeah,
didn't
even
realize.
this is my first time working with this because I just took up this spec. So if I just, this is not the one which is causing issue. The problem comes when we're trying to refresh the page.
Have you run this? I never know what to call it. Like we have a headless browser, but what's the opposite of a headless browser? Headed? Headful?
With head.
They all sound wrong. I don't want but have you tried it with headless turned off? Because
No.
sometimes that just seeing what's going on in the browser is like, oh wow, okay.
Interesting approach.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think there's an environment variable can set
Yep.
for that. I forgot what it was.
Oh, can we do that?
you can
Well,
say,
you
yep.
can do save an open page right now, right?
Yeah.
Save underscore and underscore open underscore page. If you just type that in, no, just type it into the pry.
Okay. Save.
Save and yeah. And open page with an underscore between each word. Save and open page. I think this was a thing.
Save and ampersand?
And with the word. So I save underscore and underscore open page. Yeah.
Yeah, that should be it.
Oh.
Looks great. Website's looking good.
Oh, that's how it opens the headless browser. I didn't know that. Thank you.
You can do like page save. If you page save screenshot, it usually looks a little better. Oh, Albert's sending us
An open
docs.
screenshot as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a page to disable headless mode
Oh,
or
disable headless.
with head, whatever.
Yeah, it's like
Normal mode. What is
WebDriver
normal?
headless. Yeah.
Human mode.
Headless 0.
WebDriver.
Oh, like this. WebDriver headless 0 like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it because it's very useful. Like you can see what actually goes on, click per click.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gives you a
It doesn't always bring any clarity to what you're looking at, but sometimes it's like really glaringly obvious. Something will pop up on the screen that's like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Now
that
I
was
know.
the one.
But
So shall I do that?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Let me
Do
just
you want
run
to
the
Let's
one
do that.
spec. Focus the one you want.
But
First.
maybe you want to stop Capybara first. Sorry, not Capybara, but Pry.
I
Right.
think I'll have to disable the pry first.
Yeah, because otherwise you get stuck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Usually it times out if you have prize in there.
Mm.
It's with only
You
price.
can have both.
What is this file?
This is
Yeah. Oh, you're in Capybara. Wow, that's how you know you're in trouble when you're putting prize and gem code. I was there a few weeks ago. Causing all kinds of
because
problems. Right.
Let the show begin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Got my popcorn.
Don't try to click too many things.
Is it happening? Okay, it's happening.
It has to load up first. It was only 3 seconds. Test
Yeah.
environment setup never lies.
Yeah, exactly. That seemed like a long 3 seconds. Oh,
it's failing.
what? Why did the browser not open?
It just failed here.
Yeah.
Oh
But
no.
didn't we expect the browser to show us what it was doing just there?
Yeah.
Sort of did.
WebDriver had this.
Can you hold on to this and look at the stack trace?
is it a JS spec? As in spec features, is it?
It's in
Yeah, okay.
it's in
Yeah.
features.
Admin settings spec line 180. What is that?
160.
180. Yeah.
Okay. 180 is this line only, I think. Yeah.
Page refresh. That's what she had the pry before. It was inside that
Yeah.
method definition.
But it should have shown something like at 172 page within. That should have triggered a browser view, something visible.
Yeah, at least this should have gone.
Is the
It didn't open in the background, did it, on your
on
desktop?
Chrome?
Shall I try?
Sometimes happens on my machine. I'm not on a Mac though, but it kind of opens behind other windows sometimes.
Oh, okay.
And then it just fails.
Yeah, try just do the last one again and open Chrome at the same time. Smarty, because you need to do the WebDriver headless equals 0. Yeah. see. No.
It'll usually
you-
open a new window, I think.
Mm,
Can you copy that line onto the chat and I'm gonna try it locally?
Yes. Is the chat. Here it is.
maybe our docs are wrong. Could be.
No, it's not working.
So Malcolm, you earlier asked if it was a JS spec, and we confirmed that it is. Or
I
should we-
think like everything in spec features. I think
No,
everything in
this is
spec
admin
features.
settings spec only.
You can have a feature spec, a Capybara spec that doesn't use JavaScript.
Yeah, but I think our configuration is basically if it's in spec features, then it has the JS on by default. I think.
Mhm.
I could be wrong.
Okay. Um,
Yeah, I don't see the JS tag in that test or anything above it.
you could add the JS tag just for the purpose of running it, but
Yeah, let's try it.
not headless. Headless equals 0. So Smriti, can you go into the test and add a JS flag to the actual test itself on
Where?
168? Yeah, so maybe remove quarantine and put oh.
Wait, that's exactly that.
Yeah,
That is the
that was the right thing. That was the right thing.
yeah.
There
That's
you
going.
go.
This
What
opened.
changed?
No, no.
It's-
I just ran the context instead of the specific text. I just wanted to see if it runs from the context.
Well, it's
Oh,
working.
the other thing is, I think we need to remove the quarantine.
Yeah, maybe
I'm not
remove
sure
it.
if that have any
Hey,
effect.
Bandi, it just closed on its own. I'll remove the quarantine.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll close on its own. It will close on its own once it's done.
So shall I
Um,
try now with just that test?
Yeah.
sure.
I'm sorry.
That it worked
So
with
when
the
I
whole
ran it for the whole
context.
context, it opened the browser. for the
Yeah, that
particular
was
one.
interesting. I wonder if it ran that test or not. Just a minute.
Should be in the log output, right?
It doesn't open. It just fails.
Can you try adding the JS flag to it?
Where?
Just right where on the line where you are, you do comma and then colon JS. Okay. I don't
Should I
think
try?
this is going to do anything. Yeah, just run what you just did again. Yeah. I don't think that's going to work, but. Really not that fast, huh?
Thing.
Starting
We got
something.
something. Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay, so signing the person in. And it goes and it clicks on general.
With JS, it passes.
Oh, is it
It's able
because
to.
our website requires on JavaScript?
Maybe.
Could be like some of this page requires
Could be that
JS.
some. Yes.
Oh,
Possible. What are we doing?
Because without JavaScript, so Malcolm had a theory that all of our feature specs run with JavaScript turned on.
I don't
I was wrong.
can't necessarily confirm that
Malcolm
because
was
I
wrong.
see a lot of JS tags in our feature specs.
Malcolm was wrong. And what appeared to be a foolish obsession with running this non-headless turned out to be a great way of fixing the problem because JS was
Actually,
required to run it headless. And that's also what was required to make the test pass, I think.
oh.
Can we search for that
So what was
data test
happening
ID
is
account limit?
where?
The account limit, the test ID.
Test
Search
ID.
where?
I want to in the whole app. I want to see where that is in the
Oh, the whole thing.
in the
you want to
front
know,
end
see?
code.
In the front end code.
It's there here, it seems.
Mhm.
It's just there.
Um,
JS account settings is set on that, so I'm
Yes,
guessing
account
that's an
limits.
initializer for one of the front end components.
But how about the other file? Account and limit settings content.
Yeah,
Sorry, not the next line.
The next line. Oh, the next
in the search
The
results.
next match.
the next match
The next
Smarties
match?
on in the menu.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
see.
the one. That's the has the test ID.
So this is a
These-
hammer.
Yeah, can we go a bit further? Search for JS account settings.
Yes,
It's
account
in the same
settings.
line. Yeah, that's
Oh,
the trigger for the front end to pick it up, probably sure.
okay. This feels like front end pairing right now.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Out of my comfort zone.
So
Gotta go
based
to
on
another
that,
meeting.
Vue injects it or something.
That's yeah, that's a lot of times that's our approach for injecting the where the front end picks up.
The Vue component makes
Yeah.
sense.
What is the approach to use the JS prefix?
Yeah, like if you say JS dash, then it's usually like the trigger. That's usually where like the index part searches for the if that it is there, and if there, and it attaches itself to that.
So
I
that
think
means
this
when
is
we
a
ran without the
form.
JS tag, it
Oh,
did not load that component, and then therefore
Yeah.
it fails.
Yeah.
Got it.
okay.
So I think like maybe one way I have a question about how Smriti could like show the difference. If she ran this test without JS and then did page save screenshot before, like could you do screenshots before and after in the test to show the difference? Like does having JavaScript turned on or off, it would change how it looks, right? In the
Yes.
screenshot.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it renders more components, then for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you can add that Smriti on line 181. You could add page.save screenshot. And then I think you have to pass in like a name for the file, save underscore screenshot. Yeah.
Okay. Thought you can just save an open screenshot.
Oh, okay. That's good too.
Yeah.
Sure. And then, so why don't you do that with this like as is, and then we'll take the JS off and try to see the before, or you can do, yeah, let's do this one.
Going to crash before that.
I don't know. You don't have to do it headless, Smriti, or it'll be faster if you just run it normal way. Yeah, does it crash before that, Smriti? Should you do the screenshot before the refresh?
Let's do that. It does crash before that.
Okay.
It
I guess we'll
crashes
see.
exactly on this line.
Okay, so we'll see if we see anything interesting. What are you sending us out there? It's particularly in void.
Just a side note.
Okay.
So we don't want to use JS.
If we
But I
don't
think
need
in
it.
this case we do
need
need
it.
JS.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the reason it's also not generally enabled, because of the performance hit.
Yeah. Okay, so
Um,
HTML.
So do you know how long it's been quarantined, Smriti?
I think some 6 months. They did
Ah.
some change with the wait for all requests, and from that moment it's quarantined. It started failing with that change when they
I'd
started
almost
waiting for the request pages.
I'd almost expect it to have changed with some front end change.
Yeah.
And then that must have failed, but somehow got through and got
Mhm.
merged.
Mhm.
So this was the change that was made. This one. This would just wait for all the requests after visiting the URL and just start spelling.
Could you look at that hammer that had that test ID and when find out when that was introduced? Because I
Oh,
wonder if that changed and then that now
general.
requires JS and then we didn't the feature spec wasn't updated
14 months ago. Loving this VS Code integration. So nice.
So what are you trying to find out that when this change was made?
Yeah.
I guess I feel like if at some point the page needed JavaScript, then surely the test should have started failing when that front end change was introduced.
That is true.
Or maybe JS was removed from the feature spec. But no, but then like if you were touching that feature spec, you'd definitely pick up a failure on it, wouldn't you? Surely.
Test ID. That's already had JS account setting.
I guess this is tangential to fixing it, I suppose.
Yeah,
but I'm just like I'm intrigued as to how it's got through. Really.
Yeah.
This spec is much older.
Yeah.
Sorry, this Hamel is much older, and the spec was passing. As far as I see, this spec was added some 7 years ago. Just a second.
Oh, it's the same MR.
Yeah.
But we don't run every single test on every single change, is that right? Like especially feature specs, we run them somewhat selectively. Is it possible that this feature spec just hadn't been run?
This would have run, they made the changes to the spec.
Yeah.
Oh, they did make, okay, they would have run it then, right?
But it started failing specifically after this check. Alina has actually sent some, provided some explanation also why it started failing. From cases that elements that we were checking pages that were not loading yet. After adding wait for all requests, elements are loading and checks are failing.
Admin settings, right?
Yeah. So after this particular change, she quarantined these tests. Maybe I can connect with Alina and understand more why exactly this change was made and why this spec started failing after that. Because I'm also not very sure what is happening here. She's just waiting for all the elements to load. I could understand that a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's only going to come into action for JS specs, though. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not.
What happens if we revert that visit change to?
I was gonna say, what
Also
kind of
said.
performance implications is that having for our whole test suite that we are
Waiting for everything.
adding wait for all requests on every visit? Yeah, so just comment out that whole thing, the whole method. Is that your suggestion, Albert?
Yeah, or just comment out the wait for all requests because I think that's the part that
Oh, yeah. So not the whole module, Smriti, because I think we're still including that, and that might.
yeah.
I know. So
Oh, but I think there's an.
There's an N missing. Yeah.
done? I think so. Yeah.
So
Shall
yeah,
I?
keep the
That
prepend.
Prepend.
We'll keep the
Yeah.
prepend. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good enough. You want to override visit.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see if
Let's
it.
try.
There's no JS on there right now.
No.
This is the. Okay. Oh, we're over by a minute after this
Yep.
just run.
You have to run.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
Me too.
Gotta go.
Okay. Well, the mystery of the JS continues, but maybe also this is just a fix. Must see result. Oh, it doesn't know about it. The error is that it doesn't know about save and open screenshot because that's
Yeah,
that.
it's just save screenshot. I think it should be save and open screenshot,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So we're just remove the screenshot line. Sorry. Must see result.
Getting confused between Capybara and I think what was it?
Cucumber?
Phantom JS used to be the thing we used way back. I think that had saved.
Phantom
screenshot.
JS, you could use that as a driver for Capybara.
Yeah.
We just use Chrome driver now. What is the same failure?
Yeah.
Okay. I think throw in a JS flag and call it JSmriti. That's what I would do. if I were you.
Yeah.
Or
At least
maybe
we
it
have the
was
spec back
Flaky even
instead of
earlier. She just
quarantining.
quarantined it.
Sorry?
I'm just saying maybe it was Flaky earlier also, but with this MR, she just quarantined it.
Yeah.
With this
Like-
change. Yeah.
Could be unrelated.
Yeah,
Could
it
be
could be
unrelated.
unrelated. Yeah.
It
that's
just
true.
happens to be on the same
Yeah.
merge request.
Okay, I'll just check that when this started becoming flaky.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're over time, so we should go. But thanks, Smriti, for bringing Capybara back into my life.
It's been good. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks for
Bye.
joining.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
Bye.
Bye.